Hello, Miss Wilson here, and today I'm going to show you how you can count the number of waves in a wave train. This is quite an important skill because you could get asked questions where it's simply asking you to count the number of waves, or you might also get asked to calculate the wavelength of waves in this train if you're given the total distance that the wave train covers. So there's a few ways to count the number of waves, and it's dependent on where you count the waves from. So to find one wave is like one complete cycle. We're looking to go from one part of the wave to the same part of the next wave. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that in a second. As you can see, this is a wave train, just lots of singular waves joined together to make a group, and it's quite repetitive. You might have seen something like this similar in maths. It's a sinusoidal wave, a sine wave, and as you can see, it just starts to repeat itself again and again. So we want to know where one wave is. So because we're going from one part of the wave to the same part of the next wave, you could really pick anywhere that you wanted on the wave train to do this. But I think that there's three areas that are the easiest to do this for. So I'm going to show you those just now. The first area I would say is to go from a 0 point, so a midpoint of the wave. If you imagine there's a line across the middle. So I'm going to start at the very start, and that's a midpoint. Where's the next midpoint? It's there, because after that the wave just repeats itself again and again and again. So that is one wave. We could find out the wavelength of that one wave, which would be just the distance between where we start and where we finish. So that would be one wavelength. So the wavelength is that horizontal distance. It's not the total distance that you would travel going along that wave. That would be quite difficult to measure. So it's just that horizontal distance. So the second way I'm going to show you is going from crest to crest. So I'll start at a crest here, and then I'm moving on to the next crest. Simple as that. And again, you can find the wavelength by going from where you start to where you end, and that's a wavelength. Remember, it's just that horizontal distance there. The final way I'm going to show you is we've done midpoint to midpoint, crest to crest, so naturally the last bit is trough to trough, and I'll show you that just now. So here's a trough here. Remember, that's the lowest part of the wave, and I just go along to the next trough, and that's it there. That's another wave, and I can again show you the wavelength like that. So hopefully we're all on the same wavelength there, haha. And I'm going to show you some examples of how to count the number of waves in a wave train next. Okay, so I've got three examples here that I'm going to show you how to count the number of waves for. So each of these waves is slightly different, and you can have a slightly different way of approaching these problems. So that's why I've got three examples here. So I'll start with one. For all of these, we just want to count how many waves are in the wave train. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at how the wave starts. So it starts at a midpoint or a 0 point. So I'm going to count from midpoint to midpoint. So I've got one wave, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's count that again. I'm starting at the midpoint. I'm going all the way along the wave until I reach the same part of the next wave. This wave is starting again. Second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, it's really important that you don't just count like the number of troughs or the number of peaks, because that's not always going to be accurate. It's best to sort of follow the wave along with your finger and, you know, see where the wave starts to repeat itself. So that's one full wave, 2, 3, 4, 5. So here we've got 5 waves. Okay, so next one is a bit different because we start at a crest. So I always think it's important to look at how the wave begins. You can't just start in the middle of the wave because that won't give you the full picture. If I were to start here, I'd be missing out this section of the wave at the start. So always start from the start of the wave when you're counting how many waves are in the wave train. So we're starting at a crest, so I'm going to go from crest to the next crest. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I've got 4 waves in this wave train because I have 4 complete waves going from crest to crest, crest to crest, crest to crest, crest to crest. So I'll write that down as 4 waves. Okay, and then finally I've got my last one, question 3. This is a bit more similar to question 1 because we're starting from the midpoint of the wave again. So let's see how many waves are in this wave train using the exact same technique that we used for 1. So starting at the midpoint, where does the wave begin to repeat itself? Here. So that was 1 wave, 2 waves, 3 waves, 4 waves, but then we've got a wee extra bit at the end. Sometimes you can get waves that aren't full wavelengths. We can have a wee extra fraction on the end. So we've got our full 4 wavelengths, and then we've got this section at the end. If we consider just 1 wave, this bit is half a wavelength, because if we look at this wave, that's a full wave, but we're only doing this peak bit, we're not doing the corresponding trough, so that's a half bit there. Okay, so my answer to that one would be 1, 2, 3, 4.5 waves. Okay, so if you ever get a question where there's a fraction, maybe a half, don't worry, because that could be correct. Okay, so hopefully this video has shown you how you're able to count waves, and you are hopefully feeling a wee bit more confident about how to do that now. Talk to you again soon.